Here's the rule for adding like fractions, comparing like fractions, or subtracting like fractions. We'll go over it a couple of times first, and then I'm going to teach you the chant. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Now let's practice the chant. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Let's chant it together 3 times. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. Now, I want you to say the chant by yourself. Before I can denominators, before I can add, compare, or subtract, my denominators must match. When my denominators match, I know that I have a common denominator. And another term for common denominator is like fractions. So once I have like fractions, how do I add them? Well, you guys know the rules for that already. To add like fractions, numerator plus numerator, fraction bar, write the denominator one time, check if I can simplify. Right? So let's take a look at a brief example. Let's say we have this, tenths plus tenths plus tenths. Well, they have the same fraction name, and so they are like fractions. And they are being added. That's tenths plus tenths plus tenths. And so before you can add, so you can add because they all have the same denominator. So let's say there are some numerators here. So now we have 3 tenths plus 4 tenths plus 2 tenths. These are like fractions, so I'm going to do numerator plus numerator. 3 plus 4 gives me 7. I'm not done. I've got to keep adding. 7 plus 2 gives me 9. So numerator plus numerator plus numerator is equal to 9. Fraction bar. Write the denominator one time. My denominator each time is 10. So I'm going to write 10. 9 tenths. And then I'll check if I can simplify. But we don't have to simplify yet. And so 9 tenths, I'll leave it just like that. Let's do another example. Fifth plus fifth. They have the same fraction name. They are like fractions. So let's give them some numerators. Let's say this first fraction is 4/5 plus 0/5. I have like fractions, so numerator plus numerator. 4 plus 0 is 4. Fraction bar, so I write my fraction bar. Then I write the denominator one time. Check if you can simplify. But we're not simplifying just yet. And so that's what I need to do. Now I will practice that using Oops. Lesson 9-3 from my textbook. Lesson 9-3 is about add fractions with like denominators. So this means that I'm trying to add fractions and the denominators are alike. The fraction names are the same. Well, I know that to add like fractions, I'll do numerator plus numerator, fraction bar, write the denominator one time, check if I can simplify. So here in my first problem, my actual question is, how much of the bag of shredded cheese does Jonas use? So my question is about a bag of shredded cheese, or the amount of the shredded cheese that Jonas uses. This question only has some information. It tells me that I'm looking for an amount of the bag of shredded cheese. The word of clues me in that I have a fraction in there somewhere because I'm taking a part of something. So I'll need to read for more information. Jonas is making nachos and tacos for a family party. He uses 2/5 bag of shredded cheese for the nachos and 1/5 bag for the tacos. How much of the bag of shredded cheese does Jonas use? Okay, well, I see that he used 2/5 of a bag for nachos, and he used 1/5 of a bag, or 1/5 of the bag, for tacos. To find the whole amount, of shredded cheese, W for whole, A for amount, to find the whole amount of shredded cheese that Jonas used, I need to consider the nachos and the tacos. Those are two things. He used more cheese for the nachos, so I'm going to give that the bigger part. Nachos, tacos. To find that whole amount, let's see. I'm asked about the whole amount that he used, because I'm asked how much of the bag of shredded cheese does Jonas use, and they tell me how much he used for the nachos, and they tell me how much he used for the tacos. So I'm going to do the amount of nachos, the amount of cheese used for nachos, plus the amount of cheese used for tacos. And I'm going to take them and add them. So that will be 2/5 of a bag plus 1/5 of a bag. And that's going to be equal to the whole amount of cheese. 2/5 plus 1/5. Numerator plus numerator, 2 plus 1, fraction bar, write the denominator one time. 2 plus 1 is 3, fraction bar, fifths, 3/5. How much of the bag of shredded cheese does Jonas use? Now I'm going to write my answer. Jonas used 3/5 what? What's the unit on this? 3/5 of a bag of cheese. So because it's a word problem, I had to include my units. And so I see that even when my units matched, fifths of a bag and fifths of a bag, I'm adding fifths of a bag of cheese and fifths of a bag of cheese. And so 2/5 of a bag of cheese plus 1/5 of a bag of cheese. Oops, I meant to show that this is my thinking. You do not have to have written this step. Okay, this is my little thought bubble. This is what I'm thinking. Numerator plus numerator, fraction bar, write the denominator one time. But I do need to include my unit. Now the lesson practice goes by much faster. Find each sum. Use drawings, number lines, or fraction strips as needed. We're not going to use any of that. We're just going to find each sum using the rule about common denominators, using the unit rule. 2/4 plus 1/4. Numerator plus numerator. 2 plus 1 is 3. Fraction bar. Write the denominator one time. Check if it can simplify. 2/12 plus 11/12. Numerator plus numerator, 11 plus 2, 11, 12, 13. If you don't know, you must immediately find it. 13/12. Numerator plus numerator, fraction bar. Write the denominator one time. Check if I can simplify. And we'll do one column of these together. You're going to do the whole page anyway. Oh, let's do this column together. 2/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 2 plus 1 is 3. Fraction bar, eighths. 6/16 plus 3/16. 6 plus 3 is 9. Fraction bar, 16ths. 9/16. 6/5 plus 7/5 plus 2/5. My denominator, the name of each fraction is the same. Fifths plus fifths plus fifth. 6 plus 7 is 13. 13 plus 2 is 15. This is equal to 15 fifths. 3/6 plus 9/6. Numerator plus numerator, 3 plus 9 is 12. Fraction bar, write the denominator one time. 6th, 12/6. And so if you remember how to simplify fractions that are greater than 1, you are allowed to do that on this page. But I'm not requiring it for lesson 9-3 just yet.